Hi, welcome to the show. My name's Baz the Bard, and I've been joined as always by James Ashall. How you doing, James?
Hi mate, how we doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How you been keeping over these few weeks where we've been absent from our meta reports?
Very stressed. Mrs. is 37 weeks pregnant now, so I'm sure I'll be delivering the news that I have a newborn son soon. I'll maybe bring him on the meta report as well. Who knows?
Feeding time.
Yeah,
Your turn,
probably.
James. Yeah, you look like a
Yeah,
zombie soon, mate.
yeah, probably at this rate. Like, yeah, you have him. Right, okay.
Yeah, indeed. Right. Okay. So, yeah, like I briefly mentioned there, it's been a while since we've done a meta report. We caught up with some of the nationals. There's a few nationals that we didn't catch up on, and basically, there's been a calling and some battle hardened events that leads
Right.
into worlds.
Worlds indeed. Yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Exciting.
it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. It's coming out. It's going to be this week. Everybody's traveling over to the States to take part in it. So let's see how the meta's changed in between, the end of nationals and now. So we had the calling in Charlotte on the 24th of September, dominated by Oldham this event. This was prior to the Oldham ban of Pulse of Ice and Loft. So, yeah, good representation for him in the top eight. Wherever Charlotte is in the States, the Oldham players have definitely flocked to them. So that's the calling. So let's go over to the US Nationals. Okay, so this is sort of like Icelander's Day. This was the Wounded Bull list that Michael Hamilton came out with. Sprung it on the world, and it's certainly taken off since. There you go, two fires in there. They were both Emberblade. So it seems to be United
Okay.
States. They favour Emberblade over Kadachis.
Yeah.
And both of these fire players are Kadachis. The dash is, you could call it mid range, but it's a really defense heavy one. It had like every
Okay.
defense reaction. And literally, the player would play in the last sort of like 10 minutes of the game. So,
Well, I assume you'd have like double plasma purifier, double induction chamber,
yeah,
or
yeah,
even triple purifier, and just sort of go crazy, just pistol whipping, I guess.
yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah,
He's
for sure.
just got to defend out well, gain health through sigils.
Hmm.
Hasn't really caught on. We haven't seen it since. Um,
It makes an appearance every now and then. It's like it's not a bad deck, but it also feel like it needs probably the right pilot and the right set of circumstances to do well at the same time.
yeah, yeah. I know we had a bit of a play with it.
Mm.
When we were testing out Talishar.
Yeah, yeah,
But, I certainly struggle with it. The amount of defense reactions, but it's a totally different way of playing, and if you're used to it,
mm.
go for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that's US Nationals, the birth of Wounded Bull.
Hmm.
Okay, so how does this translate into German nationals? So Fab TCG had German nationals as 3 days after the US nationals. Um,
Hmm.
so the eighth or the fifth place is 5 to 8.
Hmm.
Both Icelander players there are playing Wounded Bulls. And the Icelander that won are playing Wounded Bull list. There's slight variations. It wasn't exactly Michael Hamilton's list, but obviously people have got sort of like a couple of days just to jump into it to see
Hmm.
how they feel about it. And
Yeah.
obviously they've given them their own little twist. So good representation from Icelander. It's like one of the first times we've seen sort of like multiple Icelanders make it into the top eight.
Yeah, I definitely also think it's been one of those decks that's been sort of on the rise, as to say, especially like when pricing first came out, and we obviously covered it throughout the meta report and even in like skirmish events too, like and drafts and all those kind of things. We saw very heavy Fi, very sort of like Dramai, and then Icelander was just one that just never caught on.
Yeah.
Now it seems to be almost completely turned on its head, where Icelander is now complete, like it's a lot more represented than Fi and Dramai now.
Mm.
And that just that evolution of this sort of period since Uprising release has been quite good to watch, and I think for all the little bits that we've been doing and following that, it's definitely been interesting to see how it's turned so much.
Yeah, but this is what we saw in other drafts, didn't we? Sort of like when you look at Tails, it was kind of like later on people got to grips with Oldham over the Briar, and that's we did talk about that. People will catch on to our Icelander plays and sort of like and she'll sort of like she'll start getting some good results.
Yeah, for sure.
But like always, someone comes out with a good list, and it's just like, right, that's a proven winner. We'll jump into Icelander. Especially when you consider how aggressive the meta is. You've got Briars, you've got Oldhams, you've got Fies, and an Icelander basically is mixing it up with a combination of attack actions and sort of like arcane damage. It's really good. So that's German nationals, and then we go into Battle Hardened in Minneapolis on the 1st of October. Where's the Icelander?
There isn't any. It's all gone.
Just like what the hell happened? It's just like, okay, did you saw Michael Hamilton absolutely trash people in US Nationals with this with the Wounded Bull list, and then whether or not any of them any people took that Icelander list to this one, I've no idea. But there's your Fi. All the Fi are playing Emberblade. So it seems that in the US, Emberblade is favoured over Kodachi. There are slight variations on it. It's basically the yellow counts, whether or not you've got Salt the Wounds. Basically, that's what it comes down to. Are you playing Salt the Wound or are you not? Generally. So, yeah, a massive amount of Fi, but Oldham still managed to win it. So it just took it on the day.
Do we know if it was aggressive Oldham or was it like super defensive, then crack back with hammer?
I didn't look at that, to be honest, because I was just like, I looked at the Fies. I didn't look at the Oldhams because I was just like, I don't really want to look at Oldham until post ban to see how they've changed. But I wouldn't have think that Oldham's got that much difference. Then he was pretty much sorted. But George did say that sort of like Kodachi against Oldham is actually favoured because it puts more pressure on him to defend more times. And he will leak damage. But if you're happy playing Emberblade, then you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess because you've got like two individual one, they're probably not really going to commit anything to that until very later stages of the game if you do get them down to the low health. So it gives them more chance to focus on like the other stuff. So you're almost getting like a free 2 every time, I guess is probably a good way to look at it. Whereas with the Emberblade, it's probably, I'll just throw a 3 or a 4 block or a 3 block mainly. And then it's like, that's just blocked.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, it can, with the Kodachis, it can threaten mask multiple times. So it's just like, right, you've got to continue to block instead of sort of like, blocking out, the Kodachi or blocking out a big attack. And then, I haven't got that many attacks left to trigger the mask a second time, or to try and trigger the mask a second time. Okay, so we've got Singapore Nats. This is the last event before Oldham's ban. So Oldham won that one. Bravo.
Another one.
So talking to George, sort of like Oldham just does it slightly better than Bravo, but if you've put loads of time into Bravo, it's kind of like we were saying sort of like in the last episode that if you've put time into a hero, you will get the most out of this meta, and that's probably what this chap did. I say chap, it might not be for Bravo indeed. So Icelander, the top Icelander player was playing a wounded bull list. The Dash player was playing a hybrid one, so he could either play pounder or pistol. So very much like what Team Dragon Shield took to Pro Tour, they were all under a sort of like a hybrid dash, so they could flip to whichever one they thought would be the their best chance of winning the game.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's not quite right. There's an Oldham in there. Why have I put 4 Icelanders? There's one Oldham in there. It's 3 Icelanders and 1 Oldham.
Oh, okay.
One of those Oldhams is a wounded bull. The other ones, I would say, are more of a traditional list of what you would see. So, there's no attack actions. It is simply sort of like, just action cards, arcane damage all the way.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, it's a bit weird that Dash, when you had the Singapore calling, is it Jason Sang? He won with Dash with the pounder list.
And the Talashar, yeah.
Didn't even make it into the top 8 at all.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know.
I guess there's that innovative like uniqueness of like, oh, I've not seen this list. How do I deal with it? People then start to sort of overthink it, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like you just come out with something new. It's great. It does well. Everyone then copies it, and it's like it loses its can't think of the word now, but it loses its thing. I can't think of the word I'm looking for.
It's win percentage, maybe.
Maybe. I want to say uniqueness, but that's just not the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, people play into it, don't they? Like I definitely took that. You know, they call it Wombat Dash. It's basically just Talashar in it. Dash with Talashar.
Novelty.
Yeah,
it loses its novelty. Yeah. There we go. That's the word I was looking for.
I took that to the armories at Mana Screw. I did pretty well with it. It was just like, yeah, it's a pretty good deck. You know, it just, yeah, if someone can defend well with it, then sort of like, you know, later on because you've boosted like mad, you're a bit, you know, it gets a bit iffy.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is Battle Hardened Dallas Fort Worth, 8th of October. So this is the day after Pulse of Eisenloft is banned for Oldhim. Okay.
Okay. So this is the after bans. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. So whether or not a lot of people took Oldhim, I don't know. I didn't get the breakdowns. But only one Oldhim made it into the top 8. It was an ice only build. There was no earth cards in it at all. Yellow pummels, yellow staunch, and it included cold snaps. What you're finding with Oldhim now is sort of like the yellow count is slightly increased. So you know, people go for pummels, yellow pummels, and yellow staunches. But yeah, the like some lists now are not even running Oakenhold. You know, they ditch the earth and not running Oakenhold at all and just concentrate on the ice.
See, I find that a little bit strange when you told me that the other day, and it's like, even if you run like a 50-50 split, it's still a solid chance that you're going to fuse Oakenhold perfectly fine. And even if you're not fusing it, it's still 7 damage for 3. Yeah. Like, it's still great in that sense. Yes, there's obviously better cards, such as like Macho Grande and a few others, and some others that are sort of like slightly better value, but you're still 7 damage for 3. Yeah. Like, it's still a solid card. So I'm quite surprised that people are dropping it a bit less. And it still blocks for 3 if need be too.
Maybe they're just, if we can't fuse it, it's not worth putting in. But the thing is, this is, you know, I mean, it's still like testing the waters to see what's going on.
But just banning Pulse of Eisenloft really make it like that bad? Like, you only run 1 in the deck anyway. So like, oh, because 1 card's gone, does that just make Oakenhold immediately bad? Because every other time you have to fuse it, you would fuse it normally. Is it just because you've lost 1 card now it makes it horrendous? That seems a bit strange in my eyes anyway. But maybe I'm totally wrong on this.
Thing is, I've never played Oldhim, but I would assume that if you've got 1 card that can fuse, you know, you can still sort of like defend a bit better on that turn where you're going to get Oakenhold off. Whereas you just go, if I've got to keep 2 cards as well, and I've got to pay for it, so I'm only defending with 1 card. You know, I've got, you know, seeds to try and, you know, filter a little bit, but generally you just like, it allows you to defend with 2 cards over 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. And it was also and it was also a great defense react as well, should you ever need it. I just find it strange that because 1 card has specifically gone, this now makes Oakenhold horrendous. I just find that one difficult to believe, because every other time when you're not fusing with Pulse, you're always fusing with 2 cards normally anyway. So it's just a strange one in my opinion.
Yeah, some people are still running it. Some people are still running it. Some people aren't.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it's sort of like people are expecting Oakenhold, so they're sort of like holding back on defense reactions, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not running it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, sometimes it's a bit of a mind game, isn't it? So
yeah, no, for sure. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see like the percentage of like Oldhims of which one's doing better, the Oakenhold list or the ones choosing not to run it anymore.
Yeah, for sure. So Fi, we're in the States, so Ember Blades. The Dory one, Dorinthia, so it's the only time she's made it into the top 8 recently. It's got Coax a Commotion in that one.
Interesting.
So it's unlike Darren's, who was running Life for Life, Scar for Scar, and a couple of others. Yeah, the only attack action card it had in there was Coax.
Interesting. Not
maybe,
even nourishing. That's odd.
yeah. Well, it kind of, I suppose it depends if nourishing comes out before Cokes, but yeah,
Yeah.
Cokes you can make a quicken token, so I suppose it's not too bad.
I guess not.
But yeah, yeah. I've spelled Briars wrong for some reason.
Briar.
Yeah,
Got 2 Briars and a Briar.
yeah. Depends on what your accent's like, doesn't it? It's Brer.
It's Briar.
I'm playing Brer. It's Brer Rabbit, not Briar Rabbit.
God, we can't say that. We probably have some American audiences.
Mate, our accents are really bad around the country, depending on where you are. Mine's like some weird sort of like Sussex, London, sort of like Milton Keynes hashed together of an accent. Is awful.
I'm just posh, mate. Everywhere I go, I'm posh. Growing up in Lincolnshire in that area, it's just like, oh yeah, you're considered posh because you pronounce your words correctly. Because I say my T's, it's because I say like water and all things like that, where people go, yeah, water, mate. It's just completely miss out the T's.
So as a child, you practiced the water in Mallorca. It doesn't taste like it's water.
Yeah, so I was always taught to pronounce like letters properly, but yeah, it's just funny. There's just so many accents in England. You just go somewhere and go, yeah, I'm going up to Pavlov. And you go, where?
Going downtown, roundabout.
Yeah.
Right, cool. Okay, so Battle Hardened Columbus. So this is like 3-week gap. Oh my god, what's going on? The rest of us, we don't get an event.
No, we
sort of like
nothing.
Everywhere else is sort of like, what have you got? Oh, I've got an armory. You know what I mean? United States, they're chucking Battle Hardened left, right, and centre. Well, they've had 3 Battle Hardens so far. They had Denver as well. So 4 Battle Hardens, in the space in October, when we don't get any. The rest of the world doesn't get any, and United States is just like, yeah, look at us. We get.
Yeah, but they're basically 52 mini countries into one big country. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's still sort of like SCG are running them. Whoever else is sort of like putting the tournaments on. Over in Europe, sort of like, is it Tournament Centre? Whoever needs to, we need to kind of like get our act together and sort of like get some tournaments over here, because it's sort of like, you know what I mean. Europeans are getting no practice in bigger competitions.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But we won the last Pro Tour anyway, and the Pro Tour.
202 Europe.
Yeah, just saying.
Which we're not even part of anymore.
Yeah, we're still classed as European. We're just not in it. So this is Columbus. So Oldham is making more of an appearance. Briar, probably no change in the Briar. I didn't look at that. So Phi, Ember Blade. Okay, right, awesome. So the one at the bottom, the Oldham at the bottom, that had hypothermia in it. So putting our hypothermia in that one, and the one in the top 5th position, we shall say, that had insidious chill. So swapping out cold snaps for hypothermia and cold snaps for insidious chill. So it's sort of like, taking your pick on which flavour you're really going to do. I suppose sort of like, this one of the Oldhams thought that there was going to be loads of sort of like, Phi, Icelander and Oldhams are sort of like becoming to be the most popular picks. And sort of like, hypothermia will try and put him in Phi in his place a bit. So they can sort of like, pivot round and get a good turn off. So nice to see a Dramine in 2nd position.
Yeah, for sure.
That had Pursuit of Knowledge in, which I'd not seen before. So it's kind of like, was similar to Jamie Faulkner's deck, running sort of like Toma Findales, Mage Master Boots. We saw, that game against Liam. He used the Mage Master Boots to get a passing Mirage out, but a lot of the time it's basically to get a Tome of Findle out, get a stack of cards in your hand, gain some health. But yeah, nice to see the Dramine. Yeah, I would like to see Pursuit of Knowledge played a bit more. I've seen it in a Dorinthia deck recently. To try and get a few more cards in around. It's like one of those cards you always see and just go, I really like that, and you just never see it come off. Okay, so Fi won that with Ember Blade, Dromai with Pursuit of Knowledge in second place. It was nice to see a Viceroy. Sort of like he kind of like just disappeared off the the last time we've seen him is sort of like German Nationals 29th of September where he came second again. Lost to a wounded bull list.
I think it's a strange one. Like the Viceroy list just hasn't really evolved since like the Skeletor ban. Like yes, it's got like bits and pieces and there's different variations and people have tried it with like shrill forms. They've tried it with like just being super hyper aggressive with like drawn to dark dimension. I had like a disruptive list that I wanted to try when the Pro Tour happened, but the meta shifted again. So then there was sort of like this really weird reek of corruption and consuming volition list sort of going around that people were testing too. But the core of Viceroy just hasn't really changed. It's just the attack actions that may change ever so slightly. Everything else is pretty similar.
Yeah. So everybody's probably screaming, why haven't you mentioned sort of like, the most obvious hero on this list? Okay, and that is Azalea. So Azalea made it into the top 4 here. It's just like, oh, okay. How did you do that? Well, someone is now sort of like probably the leader of the cult of Azalea.
God.
Just like,
it's like
oh my
God.
God.
Done it. You've done it.
Thing is, you just look at the list and you're just like, right, okay. I've no idea how you're playing that, but it's only got it's only playing yellow Memorial Grounds. Now, I've previously when I've seen it, I've only seen red. So they're only playing yellow. So they're only grabbing 1 cost arrows and putting it on the top of their deck. So yeah, would be really nice to see some games with this player using his deck. Whether or not there is some online, but if I'm sure the Azalea cult are dissecting every game that he's played, to just go, we are not worthy. Please tell us the secrets to to Azalea.
I reckon he went red in the ledger, attack for 9. It hit, gave the other guy 1 attack action, and then the guy went knock the death whistle, found another red in the ledger, then attacked with red in the ledger. And then at the end of his turn, probably or did Memorial Ground or something, got the other one back on the top of it. I reckon he just did that. I reckon he got all 3 reds out, cycled with all 3 Memorial Grounds, and he just did so much damage, just putting through. And the guy just went, "Yeah, I concede. I've only got 1 attack action. I'm good. I hate it because that's how Nathan normally beats me. Sometimes he just gets the most luckiest draws.
Yeah,
and
but
he goes, I'm just going to red in the ledger you for like 6 attacks. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm actually really frustrated. I can't do anything.
Yeah, but to get top 4 place, he's got to have a bit more consistency. Yeah, Nathan got a bit lucky. It's like no, especially
he got lucky for the entire tournament.
Yeah, but especially when you're looking, battle hardeners normally have, especially in the States, I'm just, about 120 players. That's what sort of like I'm thinking of is turning up. He's just like, okay, so that's at least 6 rounds you're playing. And then you've got the cuts as well. You're just like, yeah, okay. So some games you're going to have is going to be absolutely bonkers.
Gas. Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's going to be like, oh my God, that's just brilliant. But sort of like, there's going to be games where you've got to dig yourself through the weeds and still make a win. And obviously this player knows how to do it. And he's just like flipping heck, off the cap. Well done, top 4 with Azalea.
Still I can't take anything away from that as much as I joke about with it. I hate red in the ledger. It's just one of those cards you just go, yeah, cool, I pass.
Yeah.
it's horrible. Yeah. But yes, he's obviously they've done very well to definitely get something very consistent with it. It would be curious to know how his tournament went, if he's done a write-up or anything like that. That'd be a good one to read.
Yeah, I would have thought he'd been interviewed by Cult of Azalea, that's for sure. Yeah. So if you're interested, go check them out. And read up all about this, amazing Ranger player. Go by the name of Legolas, probably. Okay, a really important one. Fanboy Free in Manchester. So a totally independent event held by Fanboy. Liam Canning, the smartest trousers in Fab. was pushing this event, and top prize was cold foil heroes from Welcome to Wraith. Phenomenal prize. That was so if we go so the fifth positions, so we got Jacob Clements was playing Phi. Now in nationals he played Oldham and made top 8, so he's flipped into Phi. Daniel McKinley was the next Oldham player. Liam Holden on Oldham. Hey, I can rhyme, it's fine.
So it's all part and parcel of being a bard, mate. That's your job.
That's right. just got to come up with it quicker. So stay with Oldham, even through the bans. George Jones, who we normally see on Lexi, he's switched to Icelander. So he's probably been getting some tips from Scott Howling Mines, who's kind of like dips in and out of sort of like the 0 to 60 podcast. Whether or not they make him a full member or not, we still have to wait and see. But yeah, he's flipped into Icelander now. Harrison Shaw on Phi. Isaac Murray was in Oldham. Now he played Phi at Nationals, and now he's gone to Oldham. Matthew Folks, Icelander. So he was playing Oldham. He's now on Icelander. I don't have a deck list, but I would have thought that would have been a Wounded Bull type list that Matt been playing. And Lila Green won on Phi. So massive congratulations to Lila. That's brilliant.
Is she the new Pro Tour champion now because she beat the reigning PT champ?
I don't know if it works like that, but that's an amazing win. I was so happy when I got her on the stream, and she was kicking herself because she, sort of like she knew she could have played better. Yeah.
I mean, could you get any better than first? Like, really?
No, at Nationals I'm talking about.
At Nationals.
But yeah, an absolutely amazing win for Lila. Oh, yeah, absolutely brilliant. That was the most important competition.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, Battle Hardened, 29th of October. So this happened basically the weekend. Top heroes were Phi, Icelander, and Oldham. So this is what this is probably what you're going to expect to see at the weekend. This weekend coming, Kano. It was a straight up normal Kano deck.
Okay.
There was no. We're going to try and put Wounded Bull in Kano. There's none of that shit. It's just like maybe. Thing is, it's a bit weird with Kano. Kano sort of like pops up when people don't take a lot of null rune protection. It might be like, okay, we're seeing Icelanders basically, this hybrid list of power attacks and arcane damage. He's just like, why are we packing that much arcane null rune protection? And here we are. This is why, because you got a Kano popping up into the top 8. Phi's that's Emberblade. It's a surprise we're in America, They only do Emberblades. The Dromai, Pursuit of Knowledge, Tome of Findale list that we saw from the previous week. Before, yeah. And that was the other Dromai was the same. The Icelander player was a Wounded Bull. And okay, so the top 3 Oldhams. Okay, so the bottom Oldham, okay, that had Yellow Pummels and Insidious Chills. Okay, the second Oldham had Insidious Chills and Hypothermia, and the top Oldham had Hypothermia and Red Staunch. So this was streamed by Beers and Drafts and Beers, I will say. Yeah, they streamed the whole event. But then they had commentary from Shamir Sami. So Shamir Sami and Scott Howling Mines were doing the commentary for that. So well done, guys. That was brilliant. I absolutely loved watching you guys do that. So yeah, to see how that mirror turns out. Probably the Red Staunches, came into effect.
I would imagine
against
so.
That game.
It'd be pretty clutch, especially against the big attacks.
Yeah.
Things like your Endless Winters and your Glacial Footsteps kind of thing. I imagine that's just gonna be like reducing 10 to 3. It's just like, yep, cool, thanks. Yeah,
some of the reds were slightly different. It was like Crush the Weeks on some, and Choke Slams were on another. Yeah, it was. What I mean? It is just 1 or 2 cards are being switched out and played with. but he's still showing. Like they've taken that Pulse of Eisenloft out, and he's still, you know what I mean? 3 Oldhams in the top 3, top 4. He's just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Going back on like your bit where you're saying about like Nullrune as well and like Chaos popping up, I think it's very difficult unless you sort of got like equipment that already has like AB built into it.
Yeah.
Like taking like a full Nullrune or whatever, like can be quite detrimental in terms of like what you're taking in your sideboard. So I guess it's kind of like, yes, I need to take it, but also if I take it, what am I losing? That I may need, and I think it's just that difficult way to sort of weigh it up. And yeah, I think World Champs will obviously be interesting, and it'll sort of be like the last iteration that we see before Dynasty comes out, and all that changes up everything. And we don't know obviously what else is to be spoiled. We've had a great spoiler day today, which I'm sure we'll have a bit later, but yeah, it's going to be sort of like a closing chapter on this cycle to see what's really going to be good. It just seems to be that Oldhim is the big bad wolf to try and knock off its little perch.
So, shall we? I think I've got the Living Legends next. Oh my god! Right. Okay. So here we are. Obviously, we've got Bravo, Chain, and Prism. They've already gone. Briar's on 922. Yep. But even if Oldham wins, if Oldham wins Worlds, he's only going to gain 200 points. So this is this is the Living Legend points up until the 10th of October. Okay. So he's still got 20 points to add on. So he's only at 508 points. So he'll be at 708 points. So he ain't going nowhere, even if he wins this one. You know what I mean? But he's set himself in a really good position. The thing is, Briar is right there on the Living Legends. Okay, now, Briar's not really shown, that well in the results lately. But we've only got the results from, America. And Briar was taken, to a higher effect straight after the ban of Pulse, whereas 3 Briars made it into the top 8. We've got some, I say there are some amazing Polish players that play Briar. There is no reason that one of these Poles cannot take her to, become world champ. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they've got that ability.
Possible.
So, we could see Briar go. We just, we're only looking at the American meta, and sort of like Briar's not really on their radar, really.
It is a strange one, like, because I think, is there a calling, a Battle Hardened, and obviously World Champs at this event, as far as I understand? I think there's 3 big events going on.
Yeah.
Like, because you've got Worlds and then your side events. Like, yeah, I think if Briar sort of LLs this, Viscerai will be sad because it loses Rosetta. The rest of the play people or the play group is going to be really happy because Rosetta's gone, and they don't have to deal with that thing anymore. But yeah, like if Briar LLs, it's actually has quite a detrimental effect on Viz itself, because Viz is sort of, it loses its main weapon, and you kind of go, oh, what am I going back to? Am I going back to Nebula Blade now, or do we get something new and shiny in Dynasty? We just don't know. But yeah, Briar LLing has quite a big effect on Viz as well.
The thing is, okay, Dynasties or Dynasty, wherever you want to say it, it is a supplementary set. But you just go, the next set they will, probably get back to focusing on the main story of Shadow versus Light, and then you're probably going to see another sort of like, Shadow Rune Blade come out. You just go, all these Shadow cards are sitting in people's collections, and sort of like people are, like, especially with this preview we've had today with the Assassin, when he banishes so many cards, and everyone's just like, oh my god, give me a Shadow Rune Blade for Christ's sake.
Oh yeah, the Assassin class looks amazing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Okay, so that was Living Legends. So Oldhim, it's not going to matter, but Briar, it certainly matter if she picks up some more points. Okay, so this is Blitz Heroes. Oldhim. So if Oldhim,
it's gonna be gone. It'll be gone.
Wins in Blitz, if the player has Oldhim, player whoever wins Worlds has Oldhim as a Blitz character, Oldhim is gone. It will be on 552 because
I think Oldhim will be gone after Worlds. To be honest, like, it's very strong. I have personally been testing chain, and my god, chain feels amazing. I took it to a local one of my local armories, and just like 4-0'd so easily. I personally think chain's going to be right up there with Oldhim. I probably expect Oldhim to still win, but I do think chain's going to give it a good run for its money, and we could see chain do it. That's my bold prediction for Blitz at Worlds, is that chain is going to be right up there.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, we might see someone take a stripped down version of Icelander. You know what I mean? You just go Icelander Wounded Bull in Blitz. Okay, someone might be practicing that.
Yeah, I think with the
that'd be quite
Stormstriders
interesting.
ban though, with the Stormstriders ban, it kind of make Icelander a bit
Yeah.
now, because you can't do anything any more in their turn. I guess is probably the right way to say it. You
Mm.
still do your one from your arsenal, but you can't now do anything more with Striders. And I think that just took Icelander down a peg. But yeah, I think for me it's definitely between Chain and Oldhim.
Cool. You heard it here first.
And then
Okay.
I'm either going to be completely right or completely wrong.
Okay. So this is the card market from when we last did it. So this was directly after UK Nationals. What was going on? Okay, as we see, hypothermia was the top one. Okay,
Yep.
so how does that change from 4 weeks ago? It's about 4 weeks ago.
Hypothermia is still number one.
Not quite.
Oh, it's dropped 1.
But it's just like there's still loads of people buying dragons. It's just like I just find it a bit weird. It's just like, how is Dromai so popular when you don't see it translate into sort of like, okay, this is, if we looked at TCG player, it might be a little bit different, but obviously, this is card market, this is European.
Dromai's a strange one, because like you build a Dromai deck and you feel like you have utility for everything. And it's like, I can do this and this, and I can block this, and I can do this. That's why I sort of took Dromai to the PTI that was happening at Nationals. I just felt like Dromai just had the answer for everything. Like it had ways to deal with everything. And I still think it does, but it just still needs figuring out. And it seems like Jamie and a couple of the other guys in America seem to have it down. And I think people are still trying to replicate that and do well with it. I still think it's a strong deck.
It's just a slower game, isn't it? People are used to a fast-paced game, whereas you play Dromai, it seems to be a bit slower. But as we've seen, sort of like, Insidious Chill, maybe this is sort of like Oldhim players picking up Insidious Chills, or or fleshing out Icelander decks. Energy potions come in. So yeah, to pay for Frostbites, to pay for dragons, maybe. Especially Dracona Optimite. Sometimes she can be a bit of a pain to get out.
Yeah, the E-Pot's a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, but Arcane, a bit of Arcane protection, or it can help you get still play a card and block out a little bit to swing tempo again. So that's the card market at the moment. Obviously, sort of like with the preview that's come out today, it would be interesting to see what card market what card market says today. This was literally yesterday. So it might be silver, cash in and silver have gone up in value. People are trying to get those cards. That would be interesting. Okay.
I feel it. I feel it actually like cash in, cash out, and a few others, because I think people will be like, I think people really like the look of Assassin and what we've seen today, but we will discuss that in a bit. I really want to get onto that one.
Okay, so Living Realms. So next we're looking at beginning of the year. Living Realms, they kicked it off the whole sort of like tournament year. They kicked it off for us at Royal Armoury last time, Battle Hardened, that Alan and I streamed through Tabletop 24. So they've got a Super Armoury on the Friday. That is a Team Commoner event. So that looks really cool. They then got the Battle Hardened on the Saturday, which is a classic constructed PTIs up for grabs, and then we've got the ProQuest. We don't know what the prizes are yet for ProQuest. We just know that Living Realms has got theirs on the 15th of January. So Leeds Royal Armoury is an absolutely amazing event. It is right opposite the Premier Inn. So if you are attending that event, there isn't very far to go to the hotel, and there's loads of sort of like venues around it. So literally, you come out of the event, get into your hotel, come out. Players are in the bar in the hotel, and then they just sort of like mingle off and basically spread out amongst the restaurants in that area. But this year, I was going to say last year, but this year it was brilliant.
It was.
It was absolutely brilliant. We had nearly 100 players, which is fantastic. So that's
it's basically where we met, Baz, wasn't it?
It is, yeah.
Pretty much.
I got you on stream with your Benji deck. I was like,
yeah,
holy shit, 12 cards.
that thing's dead now anyway. Yeah. With the recent ban, that's gone.
Yeah, never mind.
Never mind. That's why I picked up Chain. I was like, I've got another deck.
He wasn't really a thing anyway, was he? Not yet.
Oh no, Benji was just one of those niche decks. But I think I was happy to showcase it the way that I did, and I had a great day there. I think I went 6-4 in the end. So no, it was a fun day. I'm looking forward to going to that back, but with CC this time.
Yeah, even Team Commoner would be, team events. I really love team events. So yeah. Right, okay, so let's look. We talk about ProQuest. Let's look at ProQuest. Oh my God. Jesus. So
here this
is ProQuest, 14th to the 29th of January. So at the moment, this is where all the events are. So kicking off 7th Dimension in Belfast. I haven't said a shout out. I've written it out. Congratulations to Ryan Porter, the Irish Nationals champion. That was very bad of me that I didn't say it last time. And he won with Visceral. And Ian Holland, who we've mentioned quite a few times on this show, he came second with Briar. So well done, Ryan. Well done, Ian. Hopefully we'll see your name up at Worlds, and representing Ireland and doing really well. So good luck. And good luck for all the Irish players that are going to 7th Dimension in Belfast, becoming the first ProQuest champion of the year. Obviously, we said about Living Realms on the 15th.
They're gonna set the standard, mate. That's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, why not? It's brilliant. Hopefully, Evil GM will give me all the info on that one. And then week 2. Oh my God, there's so many games going on up and down the country. We have got a really good spread of events going round. London have got 2. And London have got 3, sorry. So the 3 best stalls in London, they've got theirs. Alpha Games always seem to get a event, and they've got it again. So whether or not sort of like Matthew Folks travels all the way to Suffolk again and gets his ProQuest win.
it's actually, I actually looked at it. It's not too far from me. It's just under an hour's drive.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So, there's going to be a few more than 12 people turn up there this time.
I might try and attend that one this time.
Why not? It's really good. Right, okay. So let's have a little talk about the Assassin. He came out today.
So good.
It was. I've looked at it. I'm just going. I'm flipping out those contracts. Those contracts are really, really good. The break points on his attacks are really good. Even sort of like he can come in with a yellow and still attack for 4. So you just like it's not bad. It's still, it's got good pitch value. 4 is still a pain in the arse to block. And it's still got a 3 block. Most of his cards are blocking for 3. The only problem is he doesn't have go again on his contracted cards, so he has to use his legendary legs to give him a bit of go again, so you can hit on 2 contracts. But it was confirmed that every hit will trigger a contract. So if you can string your contracts in one long chain, they will all trigger. So lead the charge might give you an action point, but you won't get multiple contracts off of one hit, because obviously that'll break the chain. But Art of Wars, Captain Calls, stuff like that, you can get a little chain together of contracted cards, and really push that damage through.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Like, I really like the look of it personally, and the whole idea that you can fulfill a contract more than once, I think is great. I'm sure I haven't looked at them all yet. I need to study it a little bit more, but I'm sure there's going to be contracts where you can basically banish a card and hit 2 contracts at the same time. So it's like you're going to be getting like double rewards and stuff, and that whole silver farm is going to be quite interesting. And then you've got the card that Alpha Investments revealed, where if you've completed a contract, gain 4 silver. Um,
Mm.
there's loads of like really cool interactions. I think things like cash out, cash in, pick a card, any card. They're quite niche cards at the moment, but we could see them utilized quite a lot in Assassin potentially.
Mhm.
I think Razor Reflex is going to be one of the really, really, really big ones, and I think people have to be wary of that. I could see it as a full 9 potentially, but I think it'll probably be 6 between red and yellows. Um, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. And I think like sort of some of the discussions I was having today with some of my locals with regards to like cash out specifically is just depending on how the equipment works. Sometimes you can have like battle worn equipment that just sits there and it
Mm.
just does nothing after you've used it. So cash out is just really going to be one of these great cards to just get rid of your used equipment to give you free silver, which I think will work quite nicely with the whole interaction of getting your car, like getting your legendary equipment legs back from the graveyard, and also getting the headpiece back from the graveyard,
Mm.
cycling out that way. So it looks quite complex in a sense, but I also think it's going to be super fun to pilot and figure out at the same time.
Yeah, I think everyone will just, what normally happens with Dromai, everyone just, lobbed all the dragons in a deck,
Yeah,
see what happens. Well, that's basically what happened when Dromai came out. I'm going to say
mm,
every dragon. That's not really changed. When we saw sort of like Prism, evolve, it was like lob every aura in. I think, as soon as he comes out, I say he could be, could be a they, could be a she under that mask. Nobody really knows, but it's just it is going to be like lob every contracted card in and sort of like and see what happens. But it's sort of like some of those contracted cards seem a little bit niche. Discard, make your
yes,
opponent discard a card that's got 2 armor. You're just like, well, that's going to work in some decks, but not others.
mm.
But I think Dory's going to do really well against him. Her,
Into it, yeah,
they, yeah, say it, yeah. It's just
it.
like it's just, it's.
We don't we don't know the pronouns yet. It could be a he, she, or a they, them.
Yeah, but I think Dory, he got a block at some point.
Yeah,
And if you can get those contracted cards, out, and they need to put defense reactions in just to try and stem Dory's Dawnblade potential. Um, yeah, I think she's got a good go. But
mm.
you would, if you're a dash player, you just like, please, I don't want to face an assassin. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Especially if it's just like, I've got Pounder and you've got Assassin. I don't want to play you. Levia. Does Levia really want to play against Assassin? It's just like,
no, not
oh
really.
my God. It's just, there's some heroes you just like flipping heck. That'd just be your worst nightmare. But,
I think there's quite a lot like that. Like Fi doesn't want to block. Katsu doesn't really want to block. Dash doesn't want to block, like you said. Um,
yeah, but Dash is also milling herself. This is the problem.
yeah, exactly. So there's that element of, well, Dash is either going to block and do nothing, or she's not going to block and then get milled even harder. So
Mm.
yeah, there's a lot. I think there's a lot that Assassin matches quite well into actually. Um, I think it's going to match quite well in like Viz personally. Like once you break through that armor, you're stripping cards out of the hand.
Mm.
It's like because Viz doesn't want to lose anything
Well,
at all,
especially with
realistically.
the blades, you just go, it's got piercing.
Mm,
You're just like, well,
yeah,
okay, chuck some armor in. I'm
yeah,
still going to get through. But the good thing
yeah.
is, it's kind of like the assassin's got answers to every class. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
just like when you look at shred, you're just like, oh my god. You know what I mean? You just go on then, stick a defense reaction in. It's like -4 armor. You're
yeah.
just like,
I think
against guardians, you're just like, yeah, I've got an answer to you with the shred card. Just, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just like,
it's mad. But there was an interesting rules question that came up with regards to like temper, so temper cards. So if you stuck like if you blocked with like a temper card and then you did that -4/1, would the temper die? And the answer is no. So on the first block of the temper, basically from what I understand is the block happens, you do the minus, the armor still gets lowered, but then basically any effects are removed, and then the armor goes back to its normal status of being like just
well,
how it was.
the tokens are supposed to go on the armor when it goes back into your equipment tray.
Yes,
So
so
it doesn't, everybody puts the token on as soon as you defend with it,
as
but
soon
it's
as you
only
block, yeah.
supposed
So
to go
in
on when
this
it goes back.
instance,
Yeah.
basically, it goes back and then the token goes on it. You can't blow up a temper card with the -4 card that we saw today. But I think that's a cool interaction to note for people, so there's no confusion when that happens
Mm.
in future play. Obviously, a lot of the competitive guys have probably already figured that out and a lot of stuff, but especially in the casual formats, people may not know. So it's definitely good to bring some of these interactions up on the new interactions, so people get a good understanding of where they are at their local armories and stuff.
Yeah, totally. Read the release notes. They're because this is a supplemental set. There's no limited format.
Yeah.
There's going to be no pre-release events for it. But yeah, I mean, those assassin legs. That at the moment, that's the card. That's the money card. Everyone's going to be like, trying to get those legs is going to be like, oh my god, it's going to be like hen's teeth trying to get them.
If you get a spare, hit me up.
yeah, totally. It's just like, oh my god, get Chad, sort of like flesh and blood cards. Have you got one? Please, have you got a reserve list? Just put me on it, for Christ's sake.
But it's definitely a class that's piqued my interest. Considering most of the classes I play are either Runeblade or Ninja, I think Assassin just sort of fits nicely into that sort of little trifecta. So it's definitely a class that I'm looking for. And I've been like theory crafting all day when these cards come out. Like, oh, I could do this and this and this, and oh, this looks really cool. But I do want to see what else comes out.
Yeah. Thing is, it's not a natural go wide deck. You've got to really sort of like work for it. So it's not like you're just going to go, spam out your hand, hit all these contracts. You've really got to work and craft. I suppose that's what an assassin does, doesn't he? He's just like, I'm not going to go in there and attack willy-nilly and just like blitz load of attacks. I've got to choose my point, choose my point of attack, and sort of like hopefully I'll banish a good card. Like a specialization card or something sort of like that's really going to hamper you. But so let's wrap it up there. The previews are coming now. It was kind of like a bit sporadic. It was kind of like, what's going on? We started sort of like mid-October with some of the cards, and it's just like, kind of like you felt like you were in a drought. But like today, it's just been like, oh my god, it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely been nice. I kind of wish they didn't spoil like 8 random cards with like equipments and stuff. I'm not sure on the Marvel equipments. I don't really have an opinion on those ones yet. I'm hoping they just don't become like the potions and stuff, where it's just like, oh yeah, they're sort of £2 or £3 a go, and that's that. I like special things like that just to hold a little bit of value. I'm not asking them to be like £90, £100 each, because I do want them to be accessible, but I also want to feel like they are special. And it was like the Marvel Dragons and stuff, and they sort of went to this point where they were like really cheap, and they were just like 2 a penny kind of thing. They weren't obviously that cheap, but they felt that they were just so common that everyone had.
But I think that is because of the amount of draft that's happened. You know what I mean? If you didn't have all those events that had all these draft events, this is probably like the Uprising's been the set. It feels like it's been around forever. Like previously, it's felt like sets have come out pretty quickly. But like the space between Uprising and now, Dynasty, it's just like, it's felt like a really long time. It might be because of the amount of events that have been within this period. It has felt like longer because everyone's been doing Uprising draft that feels like forever. But because that many packs have been opened, you know what I mean? It's become more widespread. Maybe sort of like, with Dynasty, because you won't have that draft element, maybe not as many boxes are going to be opened, and therefore sort of like, the Marvel cards will, like you're saying, retain, a bit more value than what sort of like the Marvel cards are for the Dragons.
Yeah, it just felt like when Marvels were presented to us, it was like, oh, these are special, but they just didn't feel very special. I'd like them to try and fix that if possible. That was my only sort of concern with Marvels going forward, is that I feel like they should be special, but they didn't feel very special in Uprising.
Yeah, I don't play with them. It's just a bit of cardboard to me. Mike would be like, "No, we've got to save the Marvels." I'm just like, I just don't care. It's just the dragon on a.
It's a pretty piece of cardboard.
Yeah, indeed. I wouldn't mind a Marvel, Ash token. That's what I wouldn't mind. A Marvel Ether Ash ring. That's what I.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I haven't seen many of those at all. That's the one card I haven't seen many.
No, someone I could probably get one of my local store actually has one.
Wow, okay.
He's looking at shifting it, and I'm half tempted to buy it just because I haven't seen many.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those like, is it going to hold its value kind of thing. Just depends on like how dragons do, because yeah, they're great at the moment, but if they sort of fall out of fashion, then you sort of spent 50 quid on a card that then has just sort of like lost its value. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it's going to fall out of value. Illusionists are flipping good. You know, in this set, she should be getting some more cool stuff.
I might buy it, and I might sort of like, I'll bring it to you like in January. Be like, hey, look what I got.
Yeah, we're like, oh, that's nice. Well
Yeah.
done.
I've finally seen one.
Okay,
Yeah.
what did your kid go without?
No idea.
Right.
No idea.
Is there anything you want to say before we wrap it up? And then
not specifically. It's good to be back.
Yeah, indeed.
I've missed doing this. We're probably gonna have another little break now before ProQuest season.
Yeah, what we show you now. No, you know, hopefully we'll do a Worlds wrap up. You know, whether or not we can get a special guest on, you know, that's been to Worlds, we can have a bit of a chat. Obviously, you know, check out Twitch, check out YouTube, you know, and watch that stream of Worlds, because it is going to be brilliant. Like, subscribe. There is a Patreon if you want to take part, get yourself on the credit, or just give us tip to the show. So until next time,
Ciao.
goodbye. Take care. Enjoy.